podcast, Eye for Talent, the show where we've got an eye for talent. I'm your host, Dylan, aka DJ Cereal Sauce. I'm a YouTube content creator, Twitch streamer, producer, two-time podcaster, and the executive producer of the Nothing Is Anything brand. And with me is TheOtherFrost, aka Just Frost, or I don't know if there's any other names that he goes by. I can't stop making that joke, and I never intend to stop making the joke. He is a former Twitch streamer, quote-unquote former YouTube content creator for his own channel, former, in air quotes, voice actor, and also, if I'm looking at my notes here, it cleans toilets for The Escapist magazine. What?
I do it, bro. They're disgusting. The state of affairs that they were at when I showed up. It was a horrible endeavor, and they said, "Yo, new guy, put in a picture, put in your occupation, or we're not gonna know what you're doing." And so I was like, "All right, I'm gonna be the toilet guy," and they know me like that too.
So I was about to ask. I was like, where on their website is there like apply to be the janitor? And you were like, this, but
they didn't. That's the secret of getting into these kinds of places. I wouldn't say I had an impressive resume. But I'm like, I wear a lot of hats. I can write, I can edit, I clean the toilets, and that's probably what sold it. Because not a lot of writers can clean toilets, not like me.
And not a lot of writers seem to be able to pull off hats as well as you do.
Yeah, the one I have. Is that you never told me that's what the name of the podcast was? I like that, but it caught me off guard. I was like, wait, there's no I in talent. Oh man, I'm just completely burned in the head. Amazing.
That's I could fully capitulate to the fact that the two podcasts that I run, their names are pretty like cut and dry. Like the other one that I do is just called Nothing Is Anything, and the motto is, we have two mottos. The first one is for people under the average intelligence by people under the average intelligence. But the other mantra is basically a podcast where we talk about nothing, but also kind of anything. So we're sort of talking about everything.
Yeah, that's so good. I love podcasts with like good titles. I'm bad at making titles. That's probably my weak spot.
If it's any consolation, the titles entice me. I'm like, oh, what is this? What's going on here?
Yeah, because they tend to be like a little like algorithm based clickbait sometimes. Some of them I do. Some my editor in chief does, but they're not like when I made Smite videos that it's just like, what the hell does that phrase even mean? I would say they don't let me get away with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've got like tons of highlights and clips within my own Discord channels of random shit that would go on, like clips from videos, clips from streams, and they're like, everything's just so wacky over there. It's crazy.
Right. Silly.
If anybody was wondering, The Escapist magazine, by the way, is like a games journalism outlet. That seems to be the best term we've come up with.
Yeah, I'll do.
I really shouldn't say we. I didn't come up with it. I don't work with them. I don't, it's... But... To be frank, a lot of this stuff is going to be regarding. I actually have to look at the questions here. I wrote all these questions when I first messaged you, and then I've suddenly like forgotten because my brain seems to be overloaded. But a couple of them are in regards to actually your position, like what you do over there and miscellaneous things of that nature, as well as just like the making of the content. Because all in all, you are a person who makes content. Period.
Apparently so, yeah. It's a weird part of me. I always got to have ideas.
Yeah. Hold on. How big is your like idea spreadsheet that you have, or like idea like notes list?
Bro, okay. So I don't know how big it is because it's all super spread out. My idea work area, whatever, is like a cloud where it's just made up of tiny droplets, and you're thinking, wow, it's so big and it floats up, but if it were to drop, it would definitely leave a crater in the ground somewhere. Like I got these cue card notes here. I got notepads with pens all around me so that I can scribble things down, and then I put them in jars. Like I got leftover notepads all up the wazoo here. I got spreadsheets, I got docs, I got whiteboards. I just have ideas that I need to write down all over the time. Sometimes I just write down my hands. Like it's filthy and it's not organized, but I don't think I'd have it any other way.
Yeah, it's not organized, but at the very least, that it's all consolidated into that area.
The only way I'd categorize them is like, okay, this is an idea for now, and then this is an idea for like 2 years from now. Right? So I have like a lot of game developer stuff, but I don't even know how to code, bro. I don't know how to use engines. I don't know any of that stuff, but I'm like, I want to make game. It's an immersive sim where you're a monkey breaking out of the zoo. And then I put that in the jar for later, for like the 5-year jar.
Yeah, your 5-year down the line jar is full of random ideas. And then you're like, all right, now that I have those, I need to write down my notes that I can put here for things I need to be doing within the next month to get me towards Monkey Sim.
Absolutely.
Or
Yeah, no, because I used to be hostile to my ideas where I'm like, if it's a good idea, you'll remember it. Right? Like if it dies in your head, it's a bad idea and it's not worth pursuing.
oh no.
But no, I've just because of how much I work, I just forget more. So
Well, yeah,
I
and
got another
especially
yeah.
especially as you tackle a bunch of miscellaneous like things, because like the sphere, like I operate within managing 2 podcasts, managing a few YouTube channels, managing a Twitch stream, managing having to like edit for those YouTube channels and edit for these podcasts and all these other things. I'm like, my brain is scattered in like 30 million different directions, so even if I think that I'm going to remember the good idea, I'm like, I'm not. It's going
Yeah,
to
no.
my it's going to my iPhone Notes app, it's going in a Google Doc, or it's going in
Yeah.
one of the text chats within the Discord that we have.
Yeah, you ruining your RAM and your brain if you're trying to keep those ideas the entire time. I don't know. I learned that the hard way. I think I had like 5 really bomb ideas that I just wanted to hold on for a little bit, and then I slowly forgot them and just kept going. Okay, whatever. And then, yeah, no, there's 5 amazing ideas that will never see the light of day because I forgot them. I was I guess, too prideful to write them down.
You'll never see the light of your brain again.
Of anyone's really. What if I solved I don't know cancer or something and yeah,
And
it's gone now.
you were like, if it's such a good idea, I'll remember it when it comes.
Yeah, I'll
to
remember it. No, apparently not.
Yeah, no, this country has a cancer problem, and it's you.
Yep, I could have fixed it. Tragic.
Um, we probably should get into the whole thing, but before I actually get into the
Yeah.
whole thing, I need to kind of like stroke my own ego for a second, which is, um, I, I don't like to mention this a lot because it feels really disingenuous, but like a lot of the people that I've reached out to be on here are people who I can safely say operate a million times higher in the degree of which you operate in a completely different sphere than I do. So I don't necessarily expect people to immediately be receptive to actually coming on here. So I'm curious what synapses in your brain fired when I asked you and you were like, you know what? Yeah, sure, fuck it. I'll come on here.
No, to begin with, like you're very polite about it. You know, you've got your ways. You're not very pushy about it, but you also would like just talk about this and that and whatever. And you just come off as to begin with, as a person on the internet. It's very difficult to find people. It feels like I find personality traits being thrown at me, ideas, all that, but no, it's difficult to find people, so to speak. And that's what makes it more comfortable, number one. The second thing is time, right? You're very respectful of the time. It's been like what, a year now or something like that.
Probably.
Yeah, like it's been some time, and having that, like, someone who checks up on me after a while but doesn't make it pushy makes it really easy to just like whenever I've got a bit of free time or whenever something like that's happening. But I've also I've been enjoying podcasts in general. Like before 30, I thought I'd have to be 30, 40 years old before I started a podcast, but getting on The Escapist, that's been part of it more, is that it's kind of grown me of talking the way I want to talk on the fly, which is weird, right? Because I'm a streamer. You'd think I'd be used to that kind of stuff. But it's different when you don't have a game, and that's like the big buffer. It's like that's the biggest connection. So now you've got a clean setup, you know. And we only talk through text and stuff, and even then, I'd say be proud of the fact that you can come off as a person and not just a fanboy or an opportunist or anything like that. This is the first time hearing you, and again, you sound very very respectful, very proper.
Oh,
So well done.
Yeah, I try my best, man. Every time somebody talks about the way that I talk, I'm like, I always like laugh, and then before I can even get my statement out, they're like, "No, I'm being serious," and I'm like, "No, I get what you're talking about," but I was like, I was in speech and debate for 3 years, so I think that would probably help.
Yeah, you got a little ego about you. I like that.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like, I know.
It's coming
Everybody
out.
calm down.
But a part of it also came from like at this point almost exactly a year ago when you were streaming consistently and I was talking with you about the idea that you had for your own podcast, and you were like I didn't think podcasts are going to be my thing until I hit 30, like, and at that point I had obviously had the one that I had done before this, and I was like, wait, am I old? What's going on here? I'm like, I'm only 22. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Um,
22 and you got these kind of podcasts going. That's great. Honestly, that's pretty good. But you also have your angle of you're doing interviews with other people and you get to riff and stuff like that. I felt like I didn't have enough life experience to really like have enough to talk about in a podcast.
I see what you're saying.
That's yeah, no. Like I especially at the time when if you're streaming consistently, especially if it's a free to play MOBA, that's all you have.
Yeah.
Or if somebody's like, "Have you seen any movies? Have you read any books? Have you done anything?" Like, no, I've just played this game. So
Like I have just been here in the same desk forever.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But that's awesome. I like to hear that. Hopefully that'll inspire confidence in other people. You know, sometimes you just gotta shoot your shot and be very open and transparent and accept that sometimes it's not going to work out, but you tried your best.
Yeah, no, you did great for it.
But
like, what, if anything, if I can pry there, what gets you to reach out to these kinds of people?
Ironically, this is a long discussion that I've had with a lot of people because I tell people that I'm like, I think it's crazy and outlandish the level of which people I've reached out to and whatnot. And I think about the fact that, like, especially at a podcast like this, it doesn't matter how big the person is, because the ultimate goal of this podcast is to get people to talk about stuff that they enjoy and things that they have fun doing. Like ultimately it started with me finding it really funny at my own story of how I started making music, which is to say I had been making YouTube videos for a little bit. They weren't very good, but I put in a song that I thought was royalty free and it wasn't. And I got mad and started making my own music so that YouTube wouldn't copyright me.
That's funny, dude. Out of spite. I love it. I love it. That's great.
And so literally even after having that experience and then starting to open up and tell people about that experience, I always thought like, man, wouldn't it be awesome to just see like how people started doing things that make them who they are. And in the case of somebody like you, how they got started doing the things that gain them the traction that they currently have. And ultimately it is just supposed to be a feel good podcast. And I think people understand that. So I kind of just go in and I'm like, I like what this person does. I like their personality. And I either know a lot about the subject so I can kind of riff with them and bounce off of them, or I know so little about it that I can just kind of sit back and let them steal the show and just be fascinated at everything they're talking about.
Dang, bro. Yeah, no, you put a lot of thought into this. I like it. I like that.
Once again, trying our hardest, but if we actually start jumping into what you're doing and what you used to, or what you're doing, what you've been doing, and all this other stuff, I'm curious to examine like how you started just making content across the various mediums that you have: YouTube, Twitch. I guess those are kind of the two biggest ones, but YouTube, Twitch, and voice acting. Like, at what point, what made you think like, yeah, I could probably make people care about whatever content I'm putting out there?
Growing up was a weird time because I am an immigrant, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. So that's where it
he's
really
like, all right. So step one, I'm an immigrant.
Yeah. When I was born, no. The big thing is I was an overachiever in school, right? I was gifted, I was talented, I was all these other things. I'm not going to be humble about it. Like, I was in a small town and I was overperforming everybody. So big fish, little town.
Yeah.
Problem is, immigrant, and I didn't have papers at the time. So I had essentially no future because you can't be getting jobs, can't be having any of that kind of stuff. So that's where I had a lot of that lax attitude. And I figured, well, I'm just going to take it easy and I'm going to do whatever I want. That took a lot of pressure off of me. There were no one saying, you're so bright, you're so passionate, you could be a doctor, you could be an engineer. A lot of people did say that to me. And I grew up next to Virginia Tech, big engineering school. And it's without that pressure of like, you could use that smarts that you have in your brains to put it down on paper. I just got to go around doing whatever I wanted. I wouldn't say I was lost, but I didn't have any ambition. And I remember my friend just joked with me saying, you could do ASMR at the time. This was 2013. We'd just gotten out of high school. And I was like, what the hell is this? But for those who don't know, ASMR, I don't know what it stands for, but it's like this tingly feeling that you feel whenever something is like, the more common trigger, I would say, is like somebody's messing with your hair or speaking softly or that kind of thing. It's a big thing. You could put it on YouTube for yourself. But that's when I finally had some sort of direction or some sort of creative idea for it. And in the meantime, I not having any future was just making videos with my friends because I don't know, something about the video making process really drew me.
Yeah, and
Where
I'm sure
it was,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people when they're in high school probably go through that similar thing. They're like, "Yo, dude, this would be sick," and then
Yeah, this would be sick.
and you look back on
Yeah.
stuff from 10 years ago, and you're like, "This is not sick. I hate it."
No, I do think it was sick. That's the funny thing. Like I
Oh,
had the funniest friends. I think we had a great time. The videos suck in like quality and the editing because I wasn't good at it, but I had a really good time, and it was always for me. I just did it for me. I knew
yeah,
this wasn't going to make me, but I would just upload them. It'd be whatever. Who cares?
yeah.
Nothing took off from there, but I did have to get a job. And problem with me is working retail really bores the hell out of me. And
Yeah.
that's when, but I don't like dealing with people, right? So even though I was working at like a grocery store, I was working back end. I was in the fridge, I was talking to the vegetables, and you start talking to yourself, you start writing things down as I do now, you start having these ideas and whatever. And that idea of you could do voice stuff started to like really stick.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing I actually like wholeheartedly pursued for a year in like 2013, 2014, while I was also just making videos. And I did make it. I would say I like being able to live off of just that is considered making it. It wasn't fun, bro. Being broke and doing retail is less stressful than being broke living a dream, I guess is what that would say, what that would be.
Yeah.
And um yeah, from there, I just kept on keeping on. I would say I put it away because I figured making making ends just barely meet while doing voiceover work wasn't working out for me. So then I'm just doing normal jobs. But people start with the whole like, oh, you have a cool voice. I was like, yeah, you could be doing voice work. It's like I did, and that's when it starts like opening other doors as you start meeting these people and they find out that you have some random kind of skills, they start just connecting. Oh, I've got this friend Larry who works for an ad company and blah, 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 blah. And that's just sort of been the moral of the story as I go from that stuff in voice work. I actually took off more when I quit. Same thing for when I was playing Smite. I had quit Smite and then I came back and I was making videos out of the Smite stuff where I was actually working off of the passion and picking that up again, where I was an editor for Barracuda and then editing for like 5 other people at once, but nobody would really listen to me. I almost kind of grew spiteful of that, where I said, if you did this, 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 and this, you could grow. But they didn't want to listen to that, so I just did it myself. And since then, I've just like kind of failed upwards. It was definitely at some point in 2000, I want to say 19, it was just a snowball of he's done voice work, he's done editing stuff, he can write, and it just keeps on going and going. And so I put myself in a crisis like 2022 when at that point I just didn't want to do Smite anymore. But I still wanted to do something with the skills I'd acquired.
Yeah.
And I said, and I was watching Zero Punctuation, and I said, I want to do that kind of stuff. I still want to be in gaming. I just want to get away from one game.
Yeah.
But I also want to make my own games. But give me like 5 years. I need to catch up because if you're only playing one game for years on years, I don't consider myself much of a gamer because of that. Just like super lacking.
Yeah.
So then combined video editing with somebody who's done voiceover work and someone who used to be a business consultant, among all these other things. And it's just opened doors, funny enough. Through this, I've gotten offers for bigger voice work. Through this, I've gotten offers for more video work. It's just all piled on top of each other. And I don't know, outside of a desire to use my passion, that I don't think anything else has played a bigger factor outside of I do what I want and I do it because I like it and other people seem to like it. But
Yeah.
that's just been the big thing. How did I get here? I really don't know, outside of any other job just drives me nuts. Like it really, shout outs to mental health. All of you who seek out therapy, who get that kind of stuff going for you. I've tried it. It doesn't work for me. I've tried vices. Those haven't worked for me. The only thing that works is just being a creative and finding places where I can be creative. The problem is you need to make money, right?
Yeah.
So I just monetize it
Yeah.
as I was going, and that's how I ended up in this. Same thing for like voiceover stuff. I'm okay with making funny voices all day long, but unfortunately, we don't have like universal income or any of that. So it was my dogged desire to be creative and be passionate and not be broke.
Yeah.
And then that's just how it's always been.
Yeah. That brings up two interesting things for me. The first one, you being like, retail jobs bore the hell out of me, and it simply is too mind numbing. I'm not gonna do it. It kind of reminds me like the job that I'm at right now. I've gotten promoted twice, and upon my first promotion, they actually hired somebody in a different position at that company to work into my position, and they're absolutely fucking flabbergasted at just how fast I'm able to complete certain what's the word? Shit, monotonous tasks. And I'll come in here and I'll see them with like a giant stack of papers and they'll be doing whatever. And they'll be like, how did you get this done so fast when you were doing this? And I was like, well, it was because I simply got too sick of having to do this monotonous stuff. So I figured out ways to do it faster.
Yep.
So there's that. But then I have a follow-up question to your upcoming, which is the most interesting vegetable to talk to?
The most interesting vegetable to talk to? That's probably got to be the. Okay, it wasn't the vegetable. It's not even a vegetable. I don't think. It was the limes. The limes came in these weird little boxes that had like these the big handle for your hand, but then the like big holes so that I don't know if you need air for the limes or something.
So the
but
limes
regardless,
can breathe.
yeah, right. So that they don't like suffocate in there. But the boxes had this weird sort of like just O face going on. And that became my Wilson, my like Tom Hanks Castaway Wilson, and yeah, that's it was the limes. Those are my boys.
All right, shouts out limes.
Not to the limes.
Better than lemons, probably. I don't
Maybe.
know. So in regards to we now know your full story, and that's a very like unironically that is
story.
Yeah, that's the entertainer story, and it's actually unironically super fascinating to see. You've made notes about you being like growing up as an immigrant in rural Virginia when you had to travel this far to find anything remotely of coolness. But I'm wondering, when you first started getting into making content, did you have obviously you had to have likely had a different shtick than the stuff that you're doing now, whether it be on your own channel or whether it be on The Escapist, but like what were the differences?
Not really. See, that's what's weird about me as a creator. I feel like, oddly enough, I feel like I've never failed. I've only quit stuff and I've only improved. So like when I was making my original videos, they're a lot like what I make now. It was just like Call of Duty Black Ops or Battlefield 3, and the camera sucked, right? Like I've only gotten better at the production value of things and the networking. And if anything, that's what's failed me, is that I was so adamant about doing things my way, and also the fact that I don't spend money on like much of anything. Where because I figured if I can just have the right characters around me, and if I can have the right words and phrases, etc., that makes up for the lacking quality. But there's only so much you can say. There's only so cool you can sound before the mic audio is a little too crispy, and nobody wants to hear that. So no, I've had a very weird, content creator shtick that it is what it is. It's just always been this sort of introspective. Sometimes I'll be teaching stuff, very whimsical, very like intoxicated kind of thing. That's always been a thing. Even when people tell me to change it, I've just always liked that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess that kind of eliminates like part of this like next question, but it's just like what in you thought that you were good enough at being able to make this sort of, I would almost call it video essay-esque content, but I don't know if that's really the most accurate term. But like what part of you was like, oh yeah, this shit, I'm crazy at this.
Are you talking about like cold takes or
I mean,
I make so many different kinds.
Yeah. I guess that would probably be the first, the place
Okay.
to start.
I think it's because of my teachers. They always annoyed me with the stupid writing prompts, and I got really good at bullshitting. And that's what sort of made me think being deep doesn't matter, right? It's, if anything, it's being simple is more meaningful to more people.
Yeah.
Because it was my most profound stuff that wouldn't take off, and that kind of pissed me off. Where I'm just like, you guys don't know what's good, but it doesn't. But that I'm biased because I spent time with me. Of course, they don't find it profound. They're not you, right? And that doesn't mean I'm deep as an individual. It just means I got to see all the little things that they won't pick up on. Whereas the bigger stuff is easier for people to formulate their own ideas and stuff around that. And what led me to think that I could do this thing? I think I never thought that I couldn't. I don't really have fears as far as that goes. I don't fear failure. I get upset with myself if it doesn't do well, but that's more a recent corporate-y thing, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that can really disappoint me is if I don't like it. If I don't watch my video back, I think it was a stinker. I really do. And a lot of people like those videos, but I've enjoyed all my hits essentially.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I knew so long as I was writing a video essay that I would like to hear other people would enjoy. And I think that's it. I just don't surround myself with doubt. I didn't realize that I was being doubted until after the fact. So like for these cold takes, my editors told me after the fact, right? They said, we didn't know what was like how this would go with people because you write weird. They just very bluntly said, especially my editor, John, I love him so much. If they just find my writing to be so strange and different from everyone else's, but it somehow resonated with people. And that's always been a constant string of people saying, his voice is really cool, but my God, have you guys taken the time to actually hear what he's saying? Like the things that are being written out here. No. And I don't think I'm a good writer. I think it just comes from talking to those limes because a lot of my video essays aren't written down. I write them after the fact. I'm just gabbing away. My old Smite videos, those short ones. Actually, no, I don't think I ever wrote a Smite video. Like, not a single one of them. And people constantly, where do you get your ideas for this writing stuff? I don't. I just turn on the mic and I just go.
I talk and it just works.
Yeah, I think it's a refinement from not knowing that you can't gets you places, right? So like back in the day, I used to watch so much Robin Williams and so many comedians. And I used to think it was all live. I thought it was all ad-libbed. And I was like, God, he's so fast. I want to be able to do that. And it wasn't until later on that you find out that they have, some jokes in the pocket, a general outline and stuff like that. Like even right now, we have a general outline of what we're going to do. But I thought everyone just did that raw. And so I said, okay, I'll try and get good at that. And not knowing you can't just does wonders for you.
Yeah. I'm genuinely fascinated to hear that you just bullshit off the top of the dome because like this is going to sound real fanboyish, but I think it comes from my desire to understand the core fundamentals of what you do rather because there's this whole thing where I know that a lot of people, especially when you were doing your Twitch streaming stuff, would always be like, how do I get to sound like you and doing voice acting and all this other stuff? And for me, I was always just like, especially when you started doing those few videos that you did that were not Smite related, kind of in the more quote unquote recency of your channel. I had those in like a small playlist, and like every day, if I had like 10-15 minutes of free time, I would just listen to them because I still am enamored by the way that you say things and just the sheer amount of like it sounds like everything is almost a joke if it isn't a joke. And I was like, Jesus Christ, how in the world does he do that? And then I tried doing that a few times for some of the things that I do with like certain like alliterations that you do and things like that. And then I tried like writing it down for a script. And the script that I was writing for was absolutely not something that you could just make gifs and gaffs and quips and jokes about. But when I tried writing it down to try and do that, I was like, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. So I'm like, that's probably why.
Yeah, it absolutely makes no sense on paper. I'd say paper is my worst enemy. I even wrote this down a bit ago. I say as I hate paper. I'm not. I can write well. Yeah, I can write well. I'm not a good writer. I can make great videos. I'm not a good video maker, and that's just a weird part of me where I feel like. So I work alongside other people. I work with Darren Mooney, amazing film critic. The amount this man can write is obscene. I don't know how he does it with such consistency. and he's got his format, but even then he can still take you for a trip in ways that you wouldn't imagine. And I'm like, how the hell do I do that? That takes me what he can do in a day takes me 2 weeks. But it's part of that ego as well that I fostered when I was younger, that devil may care attitude, where I'm like, I can top that, but not your way. He's very structured. He's got his writing process. He's got all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I go, if I'm out of my own head, I can match anybody, and that's where it comes from. My creativity is a desire to be in a good mental space. If someone says sit down and write this, I can't. But if you leave me alone to frolic in the meadows for a week, I come back and I'm like, yo, I got this idea for a video.
Shit's crazy.
And it just spews right out. Yeah, my friend Will, he does the closed captioning at The Escapist, and we have to send him in our scripts. And I forgot to send him one once, and I was like, hold on, let me just write it up real quick. And he says, what do you mean? I was like, I don't write scripts for these videos. Like, I don't script them beforehand. He's like, bro, that is nuts. And the same thing with my editors. That was the biggest issue, was they're like, do you have an idea for this video? Because that's in this industry. If you guys don't know, you have to kind of get a green light. You give them an idea, and then you can write the video once they say go for it, or write the script, I mean. And yeah, I was like, I don't like throwing out ideas. I just kind of do the whole thing. And then I go, hey, do you want this pitch? They know when I said, do you want this pitch? I've already got it like completely written out. And same thing for the videos is that they give me now, I could just show up on due date with a video. Whereas way back when they're like, all right, how's the pitch coming along? How's the format? How's all this? So I'm like, no, I don't even know. Yeah, it's, I started writing. I got better at being a technical writer. I do write scripts now, but they don't even make it to the essay. They don't make it to the video. It's just something to hand in to editors.
Yeah, to give them a conceptualization of whatever the hell
yeah,
is going
so
on
they
in your
don't
mind.
panic, you know. It's like, yeah, it's right here. Here you go. Because the first one wasn't a script, more so just like a free form verbal diarrhea written down. It was more of a transcript of a diatribe I had. And my editor was like, I don't know what this is. I'm kind of scared to publish it, to be honest. And then I was like, well, I'm not done yet. That was my thing. I'm not done yet. And then they gave it back to me with some notes. And then the final video was completely different. And that was like, oh, so this is what you're going to do. Well, okay, then. And so they just gave me more freedom with it. But yeah, my process, as I've told people, is very painful. And it all comes down to how well I'm doing mentally. If I'm doing well mentally, I think I could take on anybody. But as soon as I'm in my own head, if I'm having like retail brain or whatever, I can't keep up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just so fascinating. Like months out from now, I'm going to keep examining the videos that come out. And I'm going to be like,
right.
like, oh shit. And I have to like go back to this podcast and be like, it makes sense now, but it still doesn't.
Yeah, no. Same thing with so we do 3MRs, and that's more actual technical writing, a little closer to objective journalism.
Yeah.
I hand those into my editor, John, and those are the hardest ones for me to voice because I write different from how I talk.
Yeah.
And I talk different from how I write, but a lot of my video essays, it's essentially more me talking than me just like writing down a script or whatever. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I think people overthink it sometimes. That could be the big one. I don't know. I'm surrounded by amazing writers. Like Yahtzee's Yahtzee and Darren, they're both published authors. They write like a page a day of whatever they feel like it. Meanwhile, I can't write for dick unless I've suddenly just binged watched all the Batman movies. You know, I don't know what it is about that process, but it helps.
Yeah. On one hand, you have these two who are, writing down a page a day of just whatever. And here you are with the box of limes next to your desk.
Yeah, and the box of that's exactly it. That's always made me kind of stand out in a way. As you say, you pride yourself in how good you are at talking, how well versed you are because you put in the work for that, right? I put the work in for me, and yeah, it still wows them. First thing Yahtzee said to me when we did the first stream was like, "I like your writing." I'm like, "All right,
like,
appreciate
sick.
it.
Thanks."
Yeah, thanks.
That's awesome. So this actually might once again, this might be one of those questions that could have potentially already been half answered. Um, I think I have my own answer to this question for you, but I'm curious, in your opinion, what do you think is the thing that people say outside of your workspace enjoy the most about content that you make or the content that comes from you? Because if it was up to me, I would probably still say it's people quote unquote fetishizing your voice a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, if we're talking like outside of the content.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the voice thing would be the biggest thing. That's kind of, yeah, I'd say that's it. Voice number one. What's sort of been peeking out recently has been more so people finding out I'm not just a pretty voice. It's when they start hearing me going on about any sort of tangent or whatever. People start to almost wonder like what's happened to his brain. Why do his synapses go in these directions? How did he make that conclusion, that leap? Yeah, no, I'd say, I suppose it's just me being a little odd.
Being a little bit of a weirdo.
Yeah, no. They go from you got a cool voice to after that, you're also a bit of a character. You're very weird.
Yeah.
Telling life stories, that's another thing that people have been appealing to. Oh, there you go. That's it then. A lot of people want to know about my time in the kitchen because I was in the food industry for like 10 years or so.
Yeah.
So that'd be the other thing. The voice, and then they're like, "Oh, tell us some war stories about what it was like in the food industry." Yeah.
Yeah, and that was actually a portion that I hadn't even I kind of like felt like I cast that part away to the back of my head because I forgot about it. Because all the time there would be like food jokes left, right, and center on streams and whatnot. But I sometimes like forget that like that is still a core part of like who you are, and like the fact that you're incredibly knowledgeable in that space. And I'm like I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, that's a good time. I had a lot of hats, but I would say the big ones are this weird content creator route that I'm taking, and then food. So those are the two things that people outside of content creator stuff are starting to acknowledge, I guess.
Yeah. Huh. That was an eye opener for me. Damn, I'm impressed. So this is one of the. There's obviously a couple of questions that I have on here that are basically like canned, as I would call them. It's just like these are things that everybody is that I'm going to ask basically everybody. But what are some of your favorite and least favorite parts about the content creating process, regardless of what platform it's coming out on?
Okay, so my favorite part is it's almost a sneakiness I get where I go, nobody's gonna get this. Like this is where it just starts with, wouldn't it be funny if? Like, oh my god, this would be so funny. That's my favorite part. Like I may even lose sleep for it. I want that video to exist. That's my favorite part. Where it doesn't matter what anyone says, by the end of it, I'm just happy this exists. That's my favorite part. That's beyond anything else for me.
Yeah.
The worst part is, I'd say the opposite. Anytime I feel obligated to make any sort of content, that's the worst. That's soul tearing, soul ripping. Where it's just like, it's not even, I don't want to make you because I enjoy making things, right? But it's more like, I hate you. I'm just looking at this thing and I'm like, I wish you were done. I wish I didn't have to do this. I wish I could do anything else but this. So yeah, that's if anything, that's the fine line you walk as a creator. It's almost more freeing when no one knows you, right? Than when people do know you, because now there's expectations and obligations. But you have to keep on getting yourself out of that headspace. So favorite part, whenever I have an idea that I go, I just want this to exist, and it makes me very happy. And then the least favorite part would be the formalities of just like, oh, it's been a week now, time to make a video. Like, yeah, that's the worst part of it all.
Yeah, it's like dread's not the right word, but almost the dread of being like, this is a thing that's on my sticky note that is directly in front of my monitor that tells me, do not forget this shit. And now I have to do it. And I really don't want to.
Yeah. Some for Smite, like some of the tutorial kind of stuff. So it's like, I want to talk about this, but nobody knows what penetrations are, or blah 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 blah. That kind of stuff that feels like you really have to cover the simpler ground. And then for like on The Escapist, I love what I write, but I have had some videos where The spark didn't hit until really late in the process, so I'm just kind of dreading it the whole way through, and I'm just like, ugh,
Yeah.
this is not the one. But funny enough, those are the two videos I've hated the most have been my most successful. So what can you do?
That seems to be a weird thing that just happens with you. And maybe that's as a result of the fact that you're kind of a silly, goofy guy. And so stuff that is quote unquote more formal or sticking to traditional formalities are things that are going to appeal to a wider audience and thus would statistically probably have a higher likelihood of success. Probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a wider audience. I used to have such a chip on my shoulder about that, though. I'm just like, God, I hate the wide audience. It feels like it dumbs down everything. But no, there's almost an art to being simpler, right? I'm learning to sort of slow myself down a little bit, not getting too up my own ass, because then it's weird then getting insulted that no one else likes the view from your own rectum. Like that's weird.
Yeah, and as a person who's gone through similar situations to that, it is one of those things where I spend a whole lot of time working on something, and I recognize that not a lot of people are going to get portions of it. And that's not even to come from like a narcissistic point of view, but that's coming from the fact of like, if you've been doing this for as long as you've been doing it, or actually going out of your way to do deep research into whatever you're doing, it's kind of expected that you're going to know all of these little things, or, whatever, that people just are not going to pick up on because they have no like reason to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
That's the worst part. That's the worst part of me, but I've managed to stay away from it enough to where it doesn't cause my own undoing, and I don't end up hating everyone for way too long. Right? It just happens. I think that's a part of growing as anyone who makes anything. It's harder for a lot of people to relate to that, I think, if anything.
Well, yeah, obviously. What the hell? That question was written weird. I thought that was one that I already did. So a lot of these questions are obviously designed to be answered from either the perspective of your own personal things that you've done, or between, I guess, working for The Escapist now. What projects have you worked on that have taken the longest to create and produce, and why did they take so long to do?
Okay. Longest project was the first voice actor role I had for an actual video game. It's called Vaporum, made by Fatbot Studios, Fatbot Games. It was the first game I'd been on, but it took so long because it is a game. Right? The game making process just takes forever. I was 19 when I got the initial audition, and then I think I voiced the lines again at 26, 27.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I was like, whatever happened to that? Did I get scammed or something? And no, they followed through with it. It just took them a long time because they were an indie studio.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I got the role then because my voice was deeper than the people that were auditioning, but it's because I was 19 and had bronchitis. but it kind of worked out because by the time they got back to me at 20, 25, 26, voice was naturally deeper. I didn't have to force it, and I didn't have to be sick. So
yeah,
that worked out. That's probably the biggest gap in between like thing I've done. But because I keep on sort of failing upwards, so to speak, I feel like it's just a never ending gap, right? Because I started, this is the mic that I bought to upgrade the first mic when I started content creation at 19. It just feels like a never ending gap of, boy, how far is that $100 purchase going to take you? And it just never stops. Outside of that, second longest project outside of video games would be when we started Cold Take. So getting on The Escapist was quick and easy, but starting Cold Take, we had to work out the angle. We had to work out what we wanted it to be. And it was a lot of back and forth stuff. We were in the midst of a merger and all this other stuff. And the formalities killed me because I came in new and fresh and like, I want to go. And coming from a solo content creator, if I wanted to make something, it would get done. Yeah, right when I wanted to. But this it felt like slow your roll and all that kind of stuff, which I'm very grateful for because if anything, I've got Nick, that's my editor in chief, who really is good at slowing my roll. That's the worst part of me is I'm too fiery. I could end up burning myself out.
Yeah.
Like very quickly. And he's very good at managing that, and I'm glad we took our time with that. It took, I think, like 2 months. We'd been talking about that, which is weird because the video is like 8 minutes long, right?
Yeah, but I suppose
why did the video take so long? But it was the initializing and the I had to. Oh, they have they have a lot of high production value on their end.
Oh yeah.
And I'm more about the sloppy edit, is what I call. It's just that dirty edit.
Yeah.
And it took a bit to convince them when I said, "Look, I can't match you guys as far as editing goes, and I also don't like it. I don't like spending this much time animating like a hand smacking something, like that. Just it feels like it takes away from the creative process. So I'm going to double down on the script and make it as good as I can. I was kind of BSing. I don't write scripts, obviously, and yeah, we'll see where we go from there. So it took about 2 months. We got an intro for it. I put on some noir music on there for some reason because the intro for that one was mixing Dayquil and NyQuil, and I'm like, I like jazz. Just put it in there. And yeah, the noir stick just stuck around. So it was 2 months to make an 8-minute video. And that's just been going. They were surprised by how well it did. I was surprised by how well it did. Just off the rip, how well it's still doing. I expected it to die, honestly, like after 3.
Yeah.
I've noticed that as a content creator is I have a rule of 3 where it's like after 3 videos, if you don't find your way, just kind of move on.
Yeah. You figure out something else that you can get success with.
Yeah. Or not even success, but it's that keeping a format. Because before this, I was just doing one-offs, and every time they asked me to make a series, they say, "What can we title it? What would the format be?" And I'm like, I can rip good ideas. I just can't do it consistently with a trend. Trying to regulate that chaos just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right. But I've only cried twice, and it's still going.
Yeah. And I mean, crying twice is still a lot better than the average worker who it might be, every day potentially.
Yeah, I know. Every day, right when you clock in and right after lunch.
Yeah. Man, I take my lunch at like 2.5 hours late than normal because it convinces me that I can leave earlier.
Right.
Or that it feels like the day isn't as long. And then somehow I'll find that everybody's also taking their lunch at that time. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yep. You should do that all the time in retail where it's like clock in as late as you can for your lunch. And then you got maybe an hour before you go and it's chilling.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah. So we talked about the projects that took the longest, but now I'm curious, what are some of your favorite projects that you've created? Because just after hearing what I've heard, I can't imagine them to necessarily be the same as the ones that took the longest. But like, which ones are your favorites and what makes those projects you've worked on your favorites?
My favorites. Where is it? Oh, God, I've got so many videos, but it's not like, oh, I love them all dearingly.
No.
I think, what are my favorites? I think it's the crap no one's seen. Those are probably my favorites, and it's not even necessarily videos. Like I made it's on Twitter somewhere. I made a quick little tune. I had an earworm stuck in my head where it was just like, da-na-na-na, da-na-na, and I don't know anything about music, so I spent that whole day just playing on some app, some music, random music making app, and that song has just been stuck in my head, and I had the file for it, and I think it's when I branch out. That's what it would be. My favorite creative stuff is my first time branching out. I feel like a proud parent and a proud child at the same time, where I'm just like, look what I made. I'm like, yes, you did. Put that on the fridge.
Put that on your Twitter timeline.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's the stuff that you share on the timeline. Whereas I've sort of lost that a little bit with content creation for some videos at least. My favorite videos would possibly be, I think, the story ones. Honestly, I liked the old SPL stories that I used to do.
Oh,
very narrative heavy. I just like a good story, like anyone else. I think that's why. I think that's why I enjoyed that one, making those so much. It feels, or it feeds into a lot of fun things. Like you get to be a bit of a detective, right? A bit of an actual journalist, but to get to actually figure out what was it that was going on back then. and also in the same time I'm recounting it because I was there, right? And then just yeah, no, I've never liked history, but I've always liked stories. I think that's just a major part of me. Is I enjoy stories. Maybe that's what drew me to the video making medium, kind of like Quentin Tarantino, where he said if I could write, I would write books. I wouldn't make movies. So,
okay.
and that similar one, yeah. Looking at my own, it's SPL stories, the crit herd around the world, and I guess that shows because outside of the DM videos, that's the biggest video I've ever made.
Damn.
And yeah, that's the one that's really stuck with me. As far as like escapist videos, I would say my favorite was maybe that pizza tower video that I came out with recently. It's just a lot of it was more of a release, just like get all these ideas out at the same time and then see what happened there. Yeah, the small stories. Yeah, I said small stories are my favorite. That's the final answer, Trebek.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was kind of like taking in that little piece of information, and the way that I think about it, it also seems like it would feed pretty well into the way that you enjoy making videos and doing commentary for things, because you're like, you don't really have to write a script for things. You just keep account of events that are happening, and especially with stuff that you at least were in like direct involvement with, being able to watch what was going on or whatever. You're just like, these are the core ideas. This is what I remember happening. And then here's some additional details from miscellaneous DMs that we could find on the internet or miscellaneous DMs I had with those people. So you don't really necessarily have to you have to do a decent amount of note taking, but you don't have to do a whole lot of like writing to get the finer details. You're like, I remember all this.
Yeah, no, pretty much. Just like remembering it all that, but keeping a receipt, I guess, is kind of fun in that way. It's like a memento, right? Yeah. You had that DM. You were among those who got to watch that and recounting it. And I think it just speaks to the stuff that I enjoy. Like I love me a good biopic. Have you seen the Michael Jordan movie that just came out, Air? Where it's the story of the guys who made the shoes, not Michael Jordan, the guys who made the shoes, and that sort of. I like documentaries with some narratives to them, not necessarily just facts. Right? Here's the facts. It's more so like, but what did it feel like? You know, that's what I want. So, emotion applied to objectivity is my favorite.
Yeah, or even just like stuff that is structured like that you can actually potentially get a glimpse of the personality behind the person who's giving you the information. Because you have a history book which just says this is what happened, this is everything, and then in the case of this Air, it's like, here's what happened, here's perspectives from the people who actually had part to play in this, and depending on how much, if it was more documentary style, the voiceover work that would have to come along with it, depending on who that's coming from, then you get to hear some of their inputs and pieces of information on what they know.
Oh, it's not a documentary. It's just essentially just a movie. It's got like Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. They're just, it's dramatized in the way. It's kind of like The Founder as well. Yeah. That's the retelling of McDonald's, like the making of it and that kind of stuff. Like the Elton John movie, right? Not necessarily a documentary, but just more so. We're not trying to tell the factual story exactly, but just what it felt like.
Yeah,
just trying to capture that again.
Yeah, like here's an entertaining
Blindside, Titanic.
Yeah, like here's an entertaining kind of take on what did happen. Like the Weird Al Yankovic movie, maybe potentially.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, perfect. Except that was even funnier because they said they didn't consult him like at all. He said, "Yeah, let's go, bro. Let's go with that." I love him for that.
It was wild. I didn't watch it, but I've heard some like interesting pieces of information from it, where it's like there's some very tenuous, potentially completely vulgar and offensive things that are on there, but it's so like wacky and out of there that it works.
Yeah, it's on my list. I have, even though I'm in games journalism and movie journalism and stuff, I haven't had time to watch anything within the past 3 months or play anything really.
Yeah, it happens. That's the situation you find yourself in sometimes. If I do a full 180 here, really, I probably should have talked about this up at the beginning, but I couldn't find a good place to insert it. So there is really no good place to insert this. This may have even been a question that I've asked you in the past. Where did you come up with your name?
Oh,
Like,
I wish I had a cool story behind it. I really do, but it was so I'd always change my name a lot, just for any reason or other. I don't know why. I hate structure. It's just a part of me. And it was with Anuki. Anuki, he met up with me, and he asked me if I wanted to make videos with him for Smite when it first came out. Real ones, I guess. Remember Tools of the Trade from way, way back. That was like the first official video series I'd ever made. And my name was like Monty and Ugly and like 5 different things. I can't even remember them anymore. And he said, "What's your name? Stick to it." And so I was like, okay. And one of them was Frost, because I got that from Call of Duty Black Ops, where I loved the blue camos and they were called Frost. And if I could be mid streak, it doesn't matter. If I see a gun on the ground that was blue, I'm just screaming Frost, and I'm just dolphin diving for the gun, and like it had to be a part of it, and everybody would just start calling me Frost because of that. And so he said, yeah, like pick a name and stick with it, or else people can't find you, right? So I was like, okay. And just had Frost. Problem, though, is if you ever try to put... Frost is like the Joe of video games. Everybody knows a Joe. Everybody knows a Frost. You can't have Frost in a video game. You'll have to be like Frost 99 or for XX, Frosty Troll XX, whatever. And the other Frost is never taken. Don't know why. It's never taken. So yeah, I've managed to just... I can show up late, man. I can show up late to Facebook and it's probably still open. Like no one takes the other Frost.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, simple as that, really.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, in a sea of cool and interesting things that's going on, at some point you've got to like cut the brakes. You're like, yeah, it's... You ever play Call of Duty? You get the blue camo. You're like, that was cool. That's where I'm at.
That's I could come up with other stuff, surely, maybe, but I think that's just too... That's what grounds me. That's my anchor, is my moniker. I not just like, oh, it's after Robert Frost. I consider myself a bit poetic too. Like, nah, it's too much, bro. It's a very simple name.
All right. We've already kind of gone over your creative process, essentially, which is kind of what you're, where you decide to... You're like, this is cool, I'm going to do this. But I'm curious if any part of that kind of differs between your personal stuff when that's what you were doing versus doing escapist projects.
It's actually more painful now because on the Escapist we have a schedule. My process before, I was just living a good life, essentially. I was working out, had a pretty good routine. I was working out, ripped all to hell, made good money, had good friends, had all that kind of stuff around me, no obligations whatsoever, and doing whatever I wanted. And that's when I really when I was really shining, and when I was on the upswing, because I think I grew a YouTube channel and a Twitch channel in like 3-4 months, like pretty quick. Like I got pretty big pretty fast. And it's funny because before that I was homeless. So
well,
like, yeah, it was a weird time there. And having the desire to do whatever I wanted was really nice. But then it got into that sort of like, what now? What more? And that started to eat away at me, especially when, no offense to the Smite scene or anything, but within the Smite scene, if you show up, right, just showing up is half the battle. Actually, no, it's almost like 3/4 of the battle. Just showing up consistently and having a bit of a characteristic, having a bit of a personality to you gets you a long way. And that's kind of what kind of took the wind out of me in the end, where I kept having these great ideas for Smite stuff, but the extra effort didn't amount to anything. The extra creativity didn't amount to anything else. So I started getting retail brain for it. That differs in the Escapist in the sense that we are a bit more formal. We have to worry about not everyone getting it, right? Like in Smite, I didn't have to worry about people getting it. I don't think people got me, probably even now to this day. But in the Escapist, it is more so like we we need people to understand where you're coming from. If you're joking, they need to know you're joking. If you're being serious, you need to cite objective stuff, etc., and whatever. So it was more formal. It felt like I was wearing a tie while I was making videos at The Escapist. That was at the start. After they started to see more of who I was and that people were really responding to it, they now let me get away with the crazier things. Problem is, I don't really have a place to really let loose, because every now and again, I just make a throwaway video that I feel like nobody's going to get, and they rarely do, right? But that was my cleanser of like, I have this energy in me, and I don't know why, but I really want to make a Nickelback remix with the Breaking Bad theme song, and I don't know where to put it. And I can't do that on The Escapist.
Like, fired instantly.
Yeah, no, they let me with the Pizza Tower video. That's where I got away with that. But it's also sort of like having that much ritual, having that much formula, having that much schedule doesn't really touch the creative process the way I'm used to. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's holding me back. It's just a different thing that I'm learning.
Yeah.
The formalities of the whole thing. But it is, it's kind of nice. I feel like it's developed me in a different way. Wouldn't say it's a worse way at all, but definitely different.
It's a way that you're still having to get to learn and understand how you can best utilize the changes.
Yeah, especially as as I keep on developing that, and it succeeds, they're very willing to let me have more freedom. But now it almost feels like I didn't care about my image with my channel. I do care about theirs, right? I almost feel a little bit more responsible. So I actually think a little bit more. But as I think more and I get into my own head, I feel like it really gets me away from that creative space. So I've had a bit of a reckoning within the past month where I showed my girlfriend a video I'd made, and it took me like 2 weeks or something, and she liked it. And she was like, she was laughing and smiling and stuff like that. And she enjoyed it. But her reaction to it, I didn't like it. So I threw it away, scrapped it, made a whole new one. But this was like back to my old style of like, no script, no nothing, just go. And made that. I showed that to her. She was just dying of laughter. Couldn't even look me in the face whenever she was done. And I was like, that's the one thing I miss. And I don't get to tap into that all the time. Now I grow resentful, and I'm trying to get away from that, where I feel like I want people to like my stuff because they like my stuff, not because they like me. And that's almost the thing I carry now, where I go, how much new stuff can I try before people are willing to just say, all right, that's crap. Like, calm down. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a weird space, because you couldn't expand in Smite. The videos that weren't Smite, they didn't do well, but that's just because I feel like I didn't have that audience. That's kind of why I went to The Escapist, where I go, if I do that, but somewhere else, it'd be huge. Why not?
A place that already can capitalize off of the fact that you're bringing in everybody from everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. And I wouldn't have to grow the audience from like the ground up, because that's the thing that's kind of holding me back from going back to my channel. Is there's videos I do want to make. I do want to make those random videos again. But they just want Smite stuff, or I don't even know what they want. I think at some point that channel stopped feeling like my channel, and that's where the hesitation to go back goes. Like, part of me wants to just make a new channel. Part of me just wants to wait for something. I don't know. Yeah.
We'll have to see where that goes, because I've only tapped into how you are looking creatively twice, and that's been like, one, asking about that silly podcast idea you had a year ago, and two, now.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see.
That was, hopefully that shows the hesitation. It definitely wasn't like an egoing thing or anything. It was very much I like putting my best foot forward. I don't like wasting people's time. If it's not mine, I hate wasting people's time. Right? I'll waste mine all I want. Absolutely. But it's also, if you have a bad day, your acquired skills, that's when they come into play, right? You said you did all your debate stuff and all that. That really saves you on the days where you kind of creatively tapped out. I don't have a lot of that, I realize. Growing up, my teachers would always just say, you're very talented, you're a great writer, you're great this and great that. but I don't have any structure and I don't have any formula because I don't know. I don't have an actual mechanical nature about it. That's the part that fails me, is that if I'm not feeling up to it, I have nothing to rely on. So
Yeah, because it's like to say the word classically trained is dumb because you would obviously usually apply
no,
that to other things.
that
But
would be it. Yeah,
yeah, it's like
that's the word I was digging for.
yeah, you're not classically trained on how to make X type of content. One, because formal training in that regard doesn't really exist, but two, because it's very obvious that you also don't necessarily, your brain doesn't work the same way as people who upload content that is similar to content that a different person in the same space uploads. So it's a little bit tough to figure out like how to ground yourself.
Yeah, that's what I've been lacking. That's the past year has just been finding more of that classical training and that formatting stuff. As I said, Darren can just rip out 20,000 word essays on whatever the hell that he wants, and I haven't been able to do that since I had to do that in school. And I figured, I'm never going to do this ever again. So I've essentially kind of just put myself back in school where I forced myself to write at least 100 words or something like that. Because if, you could be the best when you're feeling yourself, but if you're not constantly present, right? Who cares if you were the world's best dad for one day if you were missing for the rest of the childhood? So, yeah, no, trying to acquire more of that classical training kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's an interesting journey that we all have to go on at some point, especially for people who kind of make content like this. But this is now getting into something that I am very interested in because I saw your tweet a few days ago or whenever the hell it happened, probably like a week and a half ago maybe, about a new series that you have been greenlit to start making at ? Period of time. So I kind of just want to hear a little bit about it insofar as you can without me getting you in work-related trouble.
Right. All right. So, I'll express it from like how it came to be. That way, it's definitely not like I'm spilling secrets, but it's like this is all the stuff that I've said publicly.
Yeah.
Is that I always want to create, and creating the same stuff over and over can kind of put me into a bit of a rut to the point where if I feel like I'm autopiloting something that is creative, I start to go, wait a minute. All right, slow the roll here. It doesn't fulfill me the way it used to. I need something to refresh it. Okay, so
Yeah.
and so I would just be talking around. I was like, I'm just thinking about making this video for my channel. And Pizza Tower came through. We were streaming, and I was like, bro, this game feels so greasy, so slippery, so chaotic. It really is giving me flashbacks to when I used to work in the kitchen. Like, this is probably the most accurate representation of the kitchen I've ever played, which is weird because it's like this WarioWare platformer game. It has nothing to do with like the setting is food, obviously, but it has no like cooking simulator stuff to it or whatever. And my editors liked that idea. And we're like, feel free to put it on our channel because we have this thing called Escapist Labs where we just try out videos just to get feedback. And so I made that. And that did really well. And now, so they greenlit that as a series called Frostbite. The title was voted on by the community, where it is more just like more of that old stuff I did on my channel where I am kind of BSing, but it is coming from a place of passion, albeit facetious. Where it's just a lot wackier than what you're used to in games journalism stuff. Think IGN, think Destructoid, think all those are very formal, right?
Yeah.
Where this is just like completely out of left field. So that was that series, but I also had so many more ideas. Stuff like I want to tell the stories of the industry. So like Jeff Kaplan when he was coming up. Jeff Kaplan was a writer, classically trained, and didn't know what to do with his life. So he just played WoW. And it's when he was playing WoW that he was with a bunch of the developers from Blizzard. And they're like, this guy's kind of weird, kind of funny. He was also a big guild leader, one of the biggest ones. His name was Tig Old Biddies.
Hell
And he
yeah.
would flame the hell out of the devs in no, it wasn't WoW. That's right. It was EverQuest because that's where he ended up. It was EverQuest. He would flame the devs and just like straight up baby rage on them, but it would actually like formulate his thoughts and opinions. And the devs from Blizzard at the time were like, "This guy's interesting. Let's have an actual interview with him." And so they brought him along, and they had this interview with him. And he had no training whatsoever in video games. And they said, "Keep your eye out for a post tomorrow." And there was a job application for a writer with like 2 years of college experience or something. Essentially, it was made for him,
Yeah.
right? And it's stuff like those. Those are kind of the stories that I find interesting. Stuff like Factorio has never gone on sale, like ever. And you're like, okay, that's a little weird. Dig into that. Where it is, find your angle, find your stories. And so to not give away everything, they are providing me a platform to sort of like, okay, let's explore on those. Let's see what that is. And another thing, hopefully I'm not getting ahead of myself here, is I have this burning desire to do like kind of interview stuff, but I think it's because I watch so much Hot Ones. God, I love that so much. Hot Ones and Nardwar. I don't know if you know who that is.
No.
Nardwar. Okay, so he's mostly he's an interviewer for the music industry, but his thing is he finds questions to ask you that are beyond personal, to the point where he catches each artist off guard and like, how the hell did you know that? Who told you this thing? And he's
yeah, I think I know what you're talking about because I've seen his weird ass interviews with like fuck, I don't even know who.
Like everyone, that's the thing. Everybody interviews with him. Yeah, and I don't want to just do that of like, okay, what game did you make? How do you feel? Very, I want to have fun with it, and that's the other idea that I've been ripping through. And I was like, I'll do that on my channel if I have to, but because essentially the green light isn't really a blank check, but because they're giving me the freedom to do this sort of stuff, and I've expressed it outwardly, I can, you can just kind of correlate. Frost wants to make blank. It's probably going to be up on The Escapist. I wanted to do weird, chaotic video. It's Frostbite now. I want to do story stuff. We're going to, we're in the process there. And then if I want to do interview stuff, surely we'll figure out how to implement that as well. Because between you, me, and whoever else is listening to this, I feel like the chaotic stuff, the lightning in the bottle, it's the whole point is that it's random and out of nowhere. It just doesn't really fit with any sort of routine or schedule.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it's hit my pride that it's not doing as well as I would have. Actually, no, it's doing as well as I'd imagined, but not as well as I'd hope.
Yeah.
And I'm not the kind of guy that's just like, trash it, it sucks. It's more like, no, it's just the follow-up happened too soon. It's like you make a great album and then to cash in on it, you just do that album, but the sequel, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like immediate follow-up with it. It's like, no, that was more of a money move kind of thing. Or that was more of a business move more than anything else. And so I do want to go deeper into the stuff that the structure, that kind of thing. Where I used to be offended because I thought I had a lot of range as a person. And it's when I expanded from the stuff that people enjoyed that some people would go, whoa, that's not what I'm used to. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still good. But I took that personally. I don't know. I used to have a huge chip on my shoulder as a creative. And, but I'm coming to terms with that in the sense of like, everyone knows Humphrey Bogart, big old idol of the 1950s, but he only ever did one thing. Like he only ever played that just stoic gangster type thing. And I go, I'm okay if I'm only known for that. Same thing with like your Da Vinci's, any famous person, unless they're a historically famous person, any famous creative, they tend to only be known for like one or two things, right? So I'm kind of I'm finding more depth in the shallows, so to speak. And I think without giving away too much, I want to explore the Cold Take character more and just keep giving it more spin-off material instead of applying more range. I just want to go deeper with that. So that character doing thoughtful video essays, that character telling stories, that character doing interviews, right? I want to develop whoever the hell that is. Like that. I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah,
Just
seeing the same person doing a bunch of different things rather than seeing a bunch of different people trying to do like the same thing.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it, because I guess that's how I write my scripts, so to speak. Is I give them a voice, and whoever that person is, if I can tap into that, I know how to talk. But that's a little confusing when you're on somebody else's channel that's not yours, right?
Yeah, where the people like have like the character is a canon thing within the Frost
Yeah,
cinematic universe.
pretty. Yeah, that's it. I'm making the FCU right there. Where yeah, no, being, even though I like voices and I like different personalities, uh, there's already so many other people that make content on the channel. So now it's like, oh, this guy's the same as the other one. That's weird.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that makes
So yeah, I think plans are for the Escapist is to just go a lot deeper with that one character and flesh him out more than to just make more one note characters.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's a good way to
that's
go
where
about
that's
it.
going.
Yeah.
You know?
When you had mentioned the Jeff Kaplan thing, it's interesting that you say that because literally just a few days ago, this was yesterday technically, me and my friends on the other podcast that we do, we were talking about the state of Overwatch as it relates to Blizzard, and I had brought up that whole thing about Jeff Kaplan just flaming the devs on the games he used to play, and that's how he got there in the first place. And this whole thing about like maybe because now he left because the team he was on is now the team that he would have flamed when he was however old he was playing.
That's what I was thinking, dude. I was like, yo, I'm amazed he could hold back like this. I don't think it's the team that he would have flamed. I think it's the higher ups.
Yeah.
I generally, as somebody who's like, my job was essentially to tell Jeff Kaplan what to do. Like, that's what my job used to be. 22 to 24 years old. Yeah, no, it's a horrible position to be in, and he'd probably just like, you know what? All right, I'll walk away before I do something I'm gonna regret, or before I hurt my team. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
good on him. But yeah, I'm amazed he lasted that long. That was crazy.
Yeah. I have two more questions here, so hopefully I've already taken up more time than I expected I was going to, but it's just been such an interesting conversation. You know, how can you not?
Right. Extended cut later.
Yeah. But this is kind of going back to the whole thing I was talking about, where it's like I had certain videos that you've made on a playlist to just kind of analyze what's going on, the way that you talk and certain things. The way that I have it written out is you seem to have a very particular mindset when it comes to like games or ideas about certain things. It could potentially be a generational difference because I think there's a big enough of a gap between us that could be the case. It doesn't matter. What like runs through your head when you come up with titles and ideas like these two videos that you've made that are Why I Don't Talk About a Game's Worth and Do From Software Games Suck Without the Difficulty?
All right. So that if anything, that almost shows you my thought process in the sense that I didn't make those titles.
Oh.
Yeah, no. I would say that if anything, that just more shows my willingness to play ball. The first one was a reaction to. That's what it was. It was the game, not the Game's Choice Awards. Is that what that's called? Kids' Choice? No, the Game Awards with Jeff Keighley up for nomination for best story of 2022 was Elden Ring, and people were like, Elden Ring doesn't have stories; they don't have narratives, you know. And so that video was more so like that was a business move, so to speak. That's the one that hurt to write a little bit, but you could tell I had fun with it because I think that's the one where I'm like crashing a car in Cyberpunk. Like at this, I think that's the one. Yeah, at the start, if I recall correctly, I'm just there like, yeah, he's drinking and just boom, bashing into things, and there's a good time there. And then the why I don't. What was the other one?
Why I Don't Talk About a Game's Worth.
That's a bit of the old chip. I didn't come up with the title for that one because mine was a huge mess that people would not have gotten. I can't even remember what it was, and my editor was like, "Can I change this?" I'm like, "Yeah, go for it." But that one was more so in defense of games like Dredge. Dredge had just come through, a super great game released this year, and it is how much money is it? It is
$25.
$25. Yeah, some people might not think it's worth that much for the amount of time because it is a little on the shorter side. And another game that was I forgot what it was. It was a very cozy city builder, but it only lasted like 2 hours, right? And it's like on Netflix gaming and stuff like that.
What the hell?
Yeah. And people were saying like, well, how could you say this is a good game when it's worth this much money? And that's because I don't take price into account when I'm talking about quality, except there are some cases where I do. So the whole point of that video was in more speaking out towards the smaller games that are just like, they're doing their best, but that's small devs, small teams, great games. Maybe the price isn't exactly what you're suited for, but that's like, it almost turns it to another conversation entirely. Whereas, that's, when did I do that one? Yeah, no, that's more where the headspace was there. I like that video because I got something out that I had in me, but that was more for me. That's more of like, if anyone ever asked that question, here I can reference that, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was definitely more of a technical video than I'm feeling it kind of thing, right? Like that's what that one was, funny enough. And then the From Software one, like I said, we just thought it was going to be huge. We funny enough said that was going to be the one that breaks like 100,000 first. It did not. If anything, that was one of the weaker ones, and that was like, never again. I never want to chase From Software for any kind of video ever again, because everybody else is talking about From Software. Why do they care if I do it? Like Yahtzee's talking about From Software. Everybody's talking about Elden Ring. Why I don't want to do this too.
Yeah.
And, that I thought people were done with me after that, because I just went, it's not boring, it's just not different. Everybody else had that take essentially that I had, where it's like, yeah, they have stories, you just kind of have to work for it. So apologies, but those titles wouldn't give too much into my thought process, I guess, because that was more by committee.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think I chose those two specifically because they were ones that I watched and I personally had enjoyed for the philosophy on them, like the why I don't talk about a game's worth. That's like the arguments you put up in there are things that I bring up with my friends on a regular basis now, where it's like calculating how much are you spending on it versus how much enjoyment you're getting out of it, even if it's only an hour, and et cetera, et cetera. But another interesting thing about that one specifically was that the way that you like worded certain things, like I don't know how to explain. Just I've said it 100 times. The way that you say and word things is just so funny to me. Where you're like in the what the hell did you say? You were like, the average median household income is $30,000. It's X amount of degrees outside, and the average college student has negative $10 in their bank account or some shit. And I was like,
right. And that came live as I was talking to my girlfriend about that. She's so good for that. She lets me bounce ideas off of her. She doesn't feed back into them. She just like lets me talk myself dry. and that's honestly, like, I'll just have that. I'll just go down there and I'm like, God, there's an idea right here, but I don't know what. And she's like, so what are you thinking? And then I just spew it. And then I'm like, good talk. Go upstairs, boom. Hit up the mic, and then boom. Yeah, no, it is. That was a fun one. That one felt more. If anything, that would differentiate those is that I feel like there's some videos I make that's it's talking to a general audience, but for some, I would say I make it for developers, right? It's almost like you're the unsung heroes, but I'm noticing you kind of thing. Yeah. So like my Midnight Suns video where I was talking about how it made me a better critic, where I was talking about the way that people write, how they give their games life. I have a lot of AAA devs now that DM me and they're like, thank you. Like, that video made me cry. And that was also the most polarizing one. The first one I'd ever had that they're like, yeah, I'm done with Cold Take. This is just some garbage that's just coming out of here. Whereas, a lot of developers really love that. I get messages from devs or from my own coworkers who are in the development space that it's like, you'll never believe what video someone shared in the Slack or whatever, and it's mine, right? And it's because it is more of this is for the devs kind of thing. This is for me. This is for me to keep in mind when I'm making games, and this is for developers. So yeah, it resonates with a different audience, I'd say.
Yeah. Huh. That's pretty cool, honestly. Like, I imagine that's in a weird way, going back to the very beginning, that right there is almost like a weird equivalent relative to the level that you operate in as like somebody who, where I'm at right now, receiving a DM back from somebody who's like giving me the green light on jumping on to do something or whatever. So that's always
Right?
fun.
Yeah. No. That's that stuff's crazy out of nowhere. Yeah, I've it's felt weird operating in this kind of space. So I can imagine what it feels like to feel this like you guys made my you guys made my day. You guys made all this kind of stuff happen. Yeah, it never gets old, honestly.
Yeah, that's fun. So the only question that I have left, and this could go nowhere, but are there just anything at all that maybe didn't get brought up that you wanted to bring up? Anything you wanted to talk about? Anything you just wanted to say about anything?
Yeah, what got you going? You're 22 years old already podcasting. What's up with that?
Um, I really take to heart the whole joke about like, well, not take to heart, but I think I poke fun at the idea of like men will literally start a podcast before going to therapy. I tend to, in a weird way, I tend to put myself in a similar basket as you, where I try and look at things from a different perspective from how other people look at it, either by intensely trying to focus on something and trying to break it as much as I can, or just by the nature of who I am and how I grew up, just the way that I look at things. And I am one part really, really just trying to capitalize on stuff that I enjoy doing and acquiring the skills to be able to go out and do it. And I'm also another part trying to make stuff that is a good enough quality that it will satisfy more people than just myself, where I can get information. I can get there's a community Discord that I'm a part of that consists of 7 people who make up a group. I think it's 7 people who make up a group, and then anybody who happens to tune into their content. And my first episode that I did of this podcast was with a person who has I'm gonna have to actually check really quickly. I want to say probably 600 followers or so on Twitch. 700. There are a little over 700 followers on Twitch. And I went and I reached out to her about her perspectives on like writing art, or on doing art and drawing, because that's the space she operates in. That's a lot of the streams that she does, and that's a lot of the value that she provides to people around her. And after making that, an announcement got put up in their group that I had done an episode with that person. And so that immediately increased its traction a little bit. Certainly not by like, nominal amounts, but enough that it was like, this is already succeeding more than the podcast that I had been doing for a full year prior to that one.
Right.
And then it was just like, after that episode had done pretty well, I had then reached out to my own friends to ask them if anybody fits this kind of, not really niche, but just fits this sort of thing that I'm looking for. And I had a couple people reach back out to me, and I had them jotted on my timeline, on my schedule. And then there was another person who was a part of that community Discord, who was a part of that group of 7 of them. And I thought, if I can snag somebody with 700, what's stopping me from snagging somebody with over 2K?
There you go.
and because they operate in the content creation space of Twitch and trying to get into making YouTube videos, and they do TikToks and things, I was like, okay, now I want to try and examine how this person goes about their time allocation and the mindset that they have when they actually make videos. Because again, I operate on a much, much smaller scale than them. And then that one ended up doing really well. And another announcement post got put up. And then the floodgates opened, and a bunch of people from that Discord started reaching out to me to try and be a part of that. And at that point, I realized, I was like, okay, this is something that a lot of people like. I think it's a thing that people wouldn't really care about in a sentimental way to listen to. It's a feel-good podcast to listen to, but it's a thing that people have sentimental value in talking about like, this is what I do, this is what makes me happy. And for a lot of those people, I think every one of them, actually, with the exception of 1 or 2 of them, it's been like, this is what I do to make money as well. Yeah. So ultimately, the way that I look at it is, I want to I want to fill up my schedule with things to do so that I'm not bored. But I want to make stuff that I really enjoy. And then right after that, I want to make stuff that I know a lot of other people are going to enjoy, either being a part of the production value and the recording of it, or being a part of the listening to it.
Love it, man. You got it all set. You got a great title. That's where it all starts, right? You got a great format. This, like I said, this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy watching as well. You got I fall asleep to essentially watching and listening to stuff like this. People are like, so what makes you? How do you make? Like where does the creativity come from? What is it? How did you get into the thing that you do? How's that make you feel and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Instead of just sort of like, I guess you're talking about the people, not so much the work, which is more interesting to me than just how long did it take you to make this? How long then, or was it like, how long did it take you to make this game or that game? And more so just these stories that spill out of like, oh, I was plastered drunk and I made it in 3 months.
Yeah.
I think I was Edmund McMillan when he made Binding of Isaac. It's like, I didn't want more than 3 months on that thing. I know, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely rip roaring.
Yeah, and to be totally frank, I think you're kind of like the perfect person to be a part of that, because to a certain point, there's only so many different niche spheres that I can examine. Like, I feel like half the people I've interviewed, including you, are people who just make content on the internet, and a few more people up ahead who do the same thing. And while they operate under different spheres of the internet in terms of content making, the games they play, the niches that they fill, they're all making content, and technically it could all be kind of the same thing. So like you said, it's more about getting to hear the thing that this person is the most passionate about and figuring out the pieces that don't get talked about very often, especially when you're at such a quote unquote high level that people aren't concerned about that kind of thing. They're just concerned about this person puts out this content at this time. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to enjoy it. That's the value it's going to bring to me. And in a weird way, I feel like that's kind of the allure of it, is that people are like, yeah, nobody, like there was a guy who I interviewed the week before. I'm getting mixed up. Just a guy. Yeah, just a guy. He's from the UK. Shouts out. He's cool. But he does Twitch streams and whatnot, but he only mildly makes references to the fact that he used to play the drums. And right after the episode was done, he was just like, yeah, this was like a breaking out of his shell, because he's like, nobody ever asks me about it, especially not to the degree and in depth that I was able to do it. So that's kind of exactly what I want to try and offer to people. So now the only thing that I need to do is figure out better ways to get that content be known in the eyes of people, so that they can experience at least a glimpse of the euphoria that these people experience when the first spark hits that tells them, I'm going to become a voice actor, I'm going to become a Twitch streamer, I'm going to become an artist, I'm going to start playing the guitar, I'm going to start what was that joke you made? You were like, I think this game dev stuff's pretty easy. I've already written 4 apology letters and it's not even noon yet.
Yeah. Yeah, what a great time. Yeah, it's Yahtzee keeps telling me to get into making games, and I was just like, all I got down to the apology letters, like that's it. Just because I don't know, that stuff just comes to them naturally. So it is interesting to get the opinion of other creatives, right? Like how they view it.
Yeah.
Mine's a little strange, as the way you framed your questions were like, how rough was the journey? Whereas I look at it back and I go, it wasn't rough at all, I guess, outside of the mental, outside of it. Like that probably makes me a little weirder. Honestly, though, that's why I didn't, like, on top of just being super busy and hectic and all that stuff, that's part of why I didn't podcast so soon. Was this time last year, I was going through like mad crisis of just like, I'm not creatively fulfilled. I'm getting sick of this. If we did an interview now, it would just be in the midst of me trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
It's stuff like that where every time someone's asked to podcast with me, I always like want them to wait, because I have that about me where I go, I'm gonna do something, I swear, and it'll be interesting for you, I promise.
You just have to wait until I'm at that point where I can kick ass.
Yeah, basically. And I grew less hesitant about that. I used to be that way, where I was like, nah, just like catch me in a year, catch me in a couple of months. You'll want to talk to me then, I'll promise. And
give me more time.
yeah, it's good to look back on this kind of stuff. Like this time next year, shoot, we'll just do another one. Who knows where I am?
Is this? I was like, yo, but just put this on my calendar. We'll just keep doing a recurring like check-in every 52 episodes or so.
There you go. Just like an annual check-in, real quick. Yeah, because I got big plans, and I'm just scratching the surface. Like it's been crazy to think. This time last year, I was applying to The Escapist, where I'm just like, yo, I hate what I'm doing right now. Part of the as you said, my more recent videos, quote unquote, these are like
8 months old, probably.
Where are they on my thing? The like Vampire Survivors, the Ubisoft thing, all those. I was making those videos so that I could send in a resume because I didn't have one.
Yeah,
right? That was this time last year. I was just sending in a resume, and then they got me through 3MR stuff. That's kind of like the grunt work for everybody. And then they started seeing I was a little different, put me on some streams, put me on some videos, and now, not even a full year later, I'm sitting on like 3 series, is a bunch of streams. Yeah, no, it's an exciting time. I'm with you there, though. I'd say like we're in the same path right now creatively, where we have to keep doubling down on the social aspect, the networking part. Like, how do I get other people's eyes on this? That almost never goes away.
Yeah,
that really almost never goes away. Be it consistency, be it marketing, be it networking. I don't know. If you find the secret, you let me know.
Yeah, certainly. We've got it. I was about to say we have a team. We don't have a marketing team. We have like a team of people who are equally as stupid as I am.
There you go.
So, unironically, I guess if something happens to come up, yeah, I can try it. I could try to riff, but I don't really, You've been doing this for like, you've been just doing this a lot longer than I have been. So obviously it's like to be expected that you at least like have a concept of like how to do that portion of it. And I'm just like, I don't. We had a marketing team of one guy, and he was like, I don't know how to help you.
Yeah, no, God, again, I think I've just been failing upwards. Where if you're doing work for yourself and you're interesting, people flock to that. They want to help you. Yeah. I don't know what that is. The voiceover stuff, like I've gotten into some big voice actor circles simply because I'm like nice and I stay in my own lane and I do a lot of work. Like I'm talking like the guys who do the voices for like Pokemon and all that stuff. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, they invited me to their private Discord, and I was like, how did I get picked up? And it's because of they're like, nah, you make videos and all this other stuff, and you used to do voiceover work, and we figured, we'd invite you in. Why not? Same thing for this now. We're just you keep on failing upwards, and that's why I lack it. Again, on my bad days, I have no classical training in marketing. I have that's my issue, is I can't always be on my best. And so if I don't have those skills to fall on, I'm probably just gonna blow out. Just a shooting star, just crashing somewhere if I don't start to get that solid base, that solid level. So I'd say you're starting off pretty strong.
Yeah, we're all trying our best out here. That's my motto. Whenever I don't know how to take compliments well, so whenever somebody says something, I'm just like, we're all trying our best.
Well, take it. You have more ego. Like that compliment wasn't even enough. That's how I am. Like whenever people say like, "Oh, you have a cool voice," I'm like, Felicia Day confused me with Matt Mercer. Like it doesn't matter what you say.
Oh, you just
gotta come close to that.
You double down almost to the point of lying about how much you're up there. Oh wait, no, isn't that an actual thing that happened?
What?
You getting confused with Matt Mercer? I swear to God, you talked.
Yeah. No, I'm being serious. Whenever people say, because I get the other question is like, how do you react when people say you have a cool voice? I was like, well, I say thank you, like everyone else. I don't really gush about it or anything because nothing can match the high of Felicia Day mixing me up with Matt Mercer. That's just like, I'm not gonna. Oh, thank you so much. No, that I've got that saved on my PC.
You have that saved on your PC and on the sticky note on top of your monitor.
On sticky note, it's all there. Yeah, absolutely. That's what keeps me humble is a massive ego.
I see where you're getting at. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I think that's all she wrote. All she being me, because I'm the one who wrote all this. So I just want to thank you again so much for coming on here. It was an incredible experience, and I know that the length of this podcast is going to make people think I'm biased. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to listen back to it.
You can cut some stuff out if you got other questions.
Oh no, that's not an issue.
Do whatever you want.
The actual length of the dude, the podcast that I used to do that I still do when we used to do it, it was like 2.5 hours long. I don't know why the hell we thought that was a good idea. It was not. It was bad. So I'm just.
Was that an obligation, or did you guys just naturally?
A little bit of both. I think we had a lot of stuff on the back on the sheet planned whenever we did it. But also, I'm not exaggerating to you when I say there was like 9 people on the first episode, so we scrapped it. We were like, this is shit.
Oh, dang. That's a lot.
Yeah, and now we've capped it to 3, maybe 4 at the absolute most. So.
Okay. But, amazing.
Yeah.
What you call it? If it's natural, I think people respond well to that. If you're just like, whoa, where did the time go? But yeah, if it's an obligation, that's crazy.
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
Yeah. Part of it was that we were obligatorily like, let's put this many topics on here because we don't know how long we can talk about this. And then eventually you find out that, it actually took us an hour and a half to finish this one topic,
Yeah, absolutely. Like my coworkers know they gotta, if they have a plan, they better stick me to it. Otherwise it turns into a quick talk about anything situation.
Yeah. And even though it pads the run times of these sometimes, that's great. Like it gives more people stuff to chew on, and especially, it's just fun. It's just a good time.
Love it, man.
So yeah, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a note on my calendar that says check in with Frost in a year and see how he's doing. And then I'm going to be very confused when that year comes up and it shows up on my calendar. And then I'm going to be like, hey, why did you want me to do this again?
'Cause I'm homeless.
I'm like,
help.
I'm like, were you not doing a good job at cleaning the toilets? And you're like, no.
Got kicked out.
Started slacking off, falling asleep in the broom closet.
Yeah, as I do.
But I'm gonna give you some time to take however much time you need to advertise yourself where people can find you and the content that you think people should see regarding you.
Right, let's see here. As far as where to find me, I used to plug in my Twitch and my Twitter, both under TheOtherFrost, but I don't really do stuff there anymore. So I would recommend for any like active videos, active creative stuff coming out of me, to go to The Escapist magazine. I think it's just The Escapist YouTube. Most of you probably, if you know them, you know that as the place where Yahtzee is, the place where zero punctuation is. And now Frost ... So that's where I'd lead them to. For any like just quick interactions, I still use Twitter in spite of everything that Twitter's going through right now. I'm trying to wean off of it, but it's still on my phone for work and stuff. So I still get notifications there. Yeah. Do you know of anywhere else to go outside of there?
No,
Instagram?
I don't believe so. Do you have an Instagram?
I think I made one once. I don't know if I have the password for it.
Yeah, if you want to see maybe question mark amount of posts that he's made on Instagram, you can maybe find him there potentially. We're not sure yet.
This is my dog.
Just
old dog I had. That's it.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. That was one of the benefits that we got of I have like a clip somewhere in one of my chats of you when you had the cat cam when you'd played Smite, and they'd be like, "Is that a real cat?" And you'd be like, "Yeah," and you're like, "Well, let me find a rapper," and you like threw it at him.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah.
So so that's where you can find Frost. Just period. All the links are in the description. So we've done the hard work for you. The hardest thing you have to do is fucking press the button, right? Like just go press the button if you want Frost. If you're as passionate about this as I am, you can go find him in the links. If for whatever reason you're looking for stuff that I do on the internet, I am at DJ Cereal Sauce on anything, either with spaces, either with just all one word, or with underscores between them because of the way that certain websites do not allow me to put spaces between my name. And if you can't find me using any of those search terms on any of those websites, I probably don't exist. I'm not on Tumblr. I'm not on Pinterest. Am I? I'm not. Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, what is it called? Apple Music, Spotify. But I'm also part of a stream team called Nothing Is Anything. We have a YouTube channel. You search up Nothing Is Anything. It might be a little hard to find. For people under the average intelligence, by people under the average intelligence. And we've got an Instagram. And as is pretty typical, I might have forgotten some things. So just keep checking all the links because I have a large copy-paste list for them. I'm going to thank you one more time for coming on here. And I am going to go hang out in the freezer.